Hey everyone, and welcome to our 5 Questions podcast. In this series, we'll be asking fellow First Nations writers questions about themselves to get to know them a little bit better, and also get a chance to explore their creative minds and what makes them tick. My name is Kimmy Lovegrove. I'm a proud Ngarrindjeri woman from South Australia living in Newnham. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the Boonwurrung people of which I live, and also pay my respect to their neighbours, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation of which I work and play. In today's episode, we'll be hearing from Timmah Ball.
My name is Timmah Ball. My heritage is Balladong Noongar, but I grew up on Wurundjeri Boonwurrung country, and I'm now living over in Balloo on Wajak Noongar Buja.
We hope you enjoy, and don't forget to check out the other episodes in the series too. What do you do outside of your creative practice?
Lots of things. Also, I guess professionally, I studied urban planning as well as doing a creative arts degree. So I've worked, in a lot of kind of government planning, architectural type roles and design roles over the years. And I guess, totally outside of anything professional, I really love reading. I love watching movies. I love just hanging out with friends. I love, camping, and I don't know, just kind of connecting with people. And I guess almost sometimes like deconnecting from thinking too much.
What inspires you to create and why?
I guess lots of reasons. Like sometimes I think it's just because I enjoy disconnecting from the real world and like sort of escaping into imagination and thinking about lots of different things. That is kind of a break from what feels much more rigid and I don't know, just all the kind of rules and everything we kind of have to do in the real world. I think writing allows you to imagine all these other possibilities, which I really like. I think in other ways, it's also a really amazing opportunity to kind of problem solve ideas and reflect and think about things. And that's probably why I quite like non-fiction writing, because I feel like it's a way that, you can sort of analyze all these things that you've experienced or, even things you've worked in or things you've been studying, that kind of extension from more academic research writing and moving into whether it's like creative nonfiction or just creative writing. I think that's really exciting.
What is the main issue troubling you in the world today?
Oh my gosh. I guess just all the big things that I think is horrifying everybody. So I guess the ongoing effects of settler colonialism, capitalism, patriarchy, and how this has obviously had such a huge impact on the environment and is probably in some ways the biggest cause of climate change, and then the injustice that then happens for Indigenous people in so-called Australia as well.
What is the one thing you wish the broader society understood when it comes to First Nations culture and ideas?
I guess, how diverse we are as a community, culture and race, and just like that ability to really understand that there are 365 plus clans, language groups. So it's kind of like moving away from that. I think ongoing, it's more than stereotyping, it's kind of like that perception that you can classify everything under a broad brushstroke of Indigenous, whereas I think more and more it can, on a very like black and white level, it might help, but in really understanding what this continent is and what its first people are, just having much more broader understanding of how different everyone is and all the different language groups and how, everybody is essentially coming from such a different cultural perspective.
What inspires you?
So in some ways, which I think a lot of people say this, but I immediately think of my mum and everything sort of she's done and how, amazing she's been in terms of bringing me up and the sort of values she's passed down to me. Yeah, I just always think of her and sort of look up to her. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a more like literary figure or like a cultural figure. And yeah, there's just so many. Like, I think someone who jumps out is Professor Eileen Morton Robertson. Yeah, she's just such a legend, I feel like, and just a real game changer. Like, I just can't believe that, you know, she did a PhD so early on when, yeah, probably like Indigenous university students just at undergrad was probably like pretty bare minimum. And then sort of beyond that, just the books she's written, The White Possessive. Yeah, it's just a book I come back to all the time because the way she looks at land ownership and property as this really, yeah, horrendous tool that is used to kind of fortify settler identity is, yeah, just such an incredible way to be reminded of how sort of settler nationhood is built and maintained. She wrote a very famous book, which to a certain extent has only just really become well recognised, called Talking Up to the White Woman. It was re-released by University of Queensland Press last year. I think when it was first released in the early 2000s, or maybe 2005, like I'd never heard of it. I only discovered it, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And it feels like a lot of people didn't really, yeah, I mean, it's like, well, for a lot of people, like you were just too young when it came out, or you just, I think even other people, it's just a book that maybe Australia also wasn't ready for, to have, yeah, this incredible woman really critiquing white feminism and the problems with it, kind of almost like, yeah, like 20 years before intersectional feminism and Black feminism, I guess, became much more well-known and popular. She really created that in that book. So yeah, I think she is one of those interesting people who, yeah, has only really in the last couple of years started to get much more wider recognition. But yeah, it's exciting that her books are getting re-released and are kind of like getting the attention that they really deserve. So yeah, absolutely, I'm hugely inspired by the work she's done.
This episode was brought to you by the Blak Bright Festival. Thank you for listening.